Morning everyone, welcome to our latest video. We're not playing Napoleonics today, surprisingly enough. We're going for mid-imperial Romans. We're going to have a practice game with Hail Caesar, so apologies, we'll probably get a whole lot of the rules wrong. And today we have Charlie playing the mid-imperial Romans, and we also have Dan, my eldest, here with us today. He is also taking on the mid-imperial Romans. In a true brotherly tug of joy, one of them will have to work out which one of them is Aurelian and which one of them is a sub-commander. So we'll do that in a second. Let's just have a look at the troops they've got on the table. So we have one Roman division, for want of a better term, on table here. We have a unit of legionaries, 2 units of auxiliaries with the oval shields, and a small unit of skirmishers. And on their flank, we have a unit of light cavalry, and there's a ballista deployed on that hill. So we move across to their central division, again quite similar formation. We have a unit of Syrian archers in the front, again supported by a ballista, a unit of legionaries in support of the rear, some skirmishing light troops, and some Palestinian clubmen. And there in the centre, we have Aurelian himself. And the divisional commander in that shot. And then on their far right flank, we have the Roman cavalry, which are going to have a tough day ahead of them. We have 2 units of Roman heavy cavalry, a unit of horse archer skirmishers, and a unit of light infantry. All right, facing off against them, the Palmyrans have raised their forces. So we have a cavalry wing. We have two small units of camel cavalry, one on cataphracti. We have, sorry about the sunlight that's flashing on the camera. We have a small unit of small unit horse archers, 2 units of Palmyran cataphracti, and a unit of skirmishers, and another unit of horse archers. So a heavy cavalry wing there for the Palmyrans. In the centre, we have the core of Zenobia's force. This is the remnants of her Roman forces that she's gathered from Syria and Egypt. So we have a unit of regular legionaries, and then 2 units of regular legionaries here, so a strong centre, and a unit of auxiliaries, and in this division also a unit of light cavalry. And then on the far right, we've got some freshly raised Palmyran troops, a unit of Palmyran archers, a unit of medium infantry, and on the far right, a unit of auxiliaries and a unit of light cavalry. So we haven't had a go at pointing this. I think the Palmyrans actually probably have a slight advantage, but Zenobia, not being an experienced general, and she's relying on her sub-generals to give her advice, is only going to have a leadership of 8, and all the Palmyran sub-generals will be 7. Whereas for the Romans, we're going to give Aurelian, whichever one of these ugly mugs decides to be Aurelian. Do we have a candidate for Aurelian? Yeah, Dan is Aurelian. So Dan will have a leadership of 9, and the other Roman generals, sub-generals, will have leaderships of 8. So the Romans, being more experienced and battle-hardened, and have successfully fought a number of conflicts already, are going to have a slight command advantage. We'll see whether that balances things out. All right, we'll crack on with turn 1. Okay, at the end of turn 1, the low leadership for the Palmyrans is already starting to have effect, so the right-hand flank failed their activation charge and failed their reroll. The centre for the Palmyrans has pushed forward somewhat. The Roman lines, so the Romans have formed an extended line over there on the left and moved forward all across their frontage, including with their cavalry. The Palmyran heavy cavalry also failed. Okay, at the end of turn 2, we can see the cavalry on the right wing is closing with one another. The Palmyran infantry down here is reformed. The archers had to retreat following attack and failing a break test from Charlie's skirmisher fire, and they retreated back through the Palmyran auxiliaries, and both went disordered. So they weren't able to advance when the rest of their division advanced. Charlie's moved up. In the centre, unfortunately, the Romans went hesitant. So their troops are where they were. The Palmyrans are closing the gap and trying to form a flank on that guard tower. Here on the left, the Palmyrans got their order off and closed on the Romans and started doing some archery casualties on them. But that's it for turn 2. Let's move on with turn 3, and we'll do a bit more videoing. Let's roll for initiative for the Roman units. So what orders do you want to give? Are you going to start with Charlie?
Yeah. So should we try and activate them?
What order are you going to give, Charlie?
So I'm going to get to just push forward.
Okay, and your light cavalry as well? Your light cavalry can do an initiative move if you want, because they're within range. So you can charge them into the javeliners if you want.
No, I'm not going to charge them in.
Why?
You'll see.
Okay. So you're doing. So what order are you not including the cavalry in the order then?
No, I'm including cavalry to push forward. I'm including them in this.
Oh, what? Okay. If you're within 12 inches of me, you can only go towards me or away from me. You can't go round me.
Oh, so I'm going to charge you then.
Okay. So you can do that as an initiative move, so you don't need to roll for that. So they charge in, and I'll do some fire against them when they charge in. All right, and let's roll for the rest of the division then.
3.
A 3, that's a triple move. So when you said you wanted to advance forward, you should say actually how far you want to advance forward, Charlie. So how far was your intent to move forward with them?
Just move faster because I got to here, really.
Okay, so you've got a triple move, so you can move up to 18 inches, but you have to go around that difficult terrain of the bushes. All right, Aurelian is now moving with the intent to move to the right. His leadership is 8 for the local commander, so they can move the 1 move to the right. So they're redeploying to the right. And looking over here on the far left flank, Charlie moved his division forward. His Palmyran archers, skirmishers moved through the difficult terrain, as did that unit of auxiliaries. The other ones are holding the flank against the threat of the Palmyran auxiliaries down there. Charlie decided to leave his legionaries in position here. Daniel, too many sons. Daniel has now had a chance to uncover and potentially move his ballista as he moves his other units to the right to try and provide some more support to his cavalry flank under threat from the Palmyrans over here. I'll be back with more moving in a sec. Okay, so we're at the end of this turn, and the Arabs have used their famed flight ability to sort of pull back from those charging Roman light cavalry. Otherwise, the Romans here have opened up, and we do have to do a command test for these Palmyran auxiliaries because they suffered a shooting casualty with a 6. So let's see how they do. They roll a 9, so I think they will stand. I'll check that in a second. Otherwise, there was firing all along the line, but no major effect. So we'll come back with Palmyran's turn. All right, so the Palmyrans have just finished turn 3. We've had a hand-to-hand combat here. Pretty equal. Both sides had supports, and both sides are medium auxiliary infantry, effectively. The Palmyrans slightly won the dice off, getting some benefit from having charged. So the Aurelian forces were pushed back, but in good order, weren't they, Charlie? So they're still in the fight there. Otherwise, Palmyrans have pushed forward here in the centre. The Aurelian archers, both the medium infantry archers and the skirmishers, fell back before the Palmyran charge, but there could be a counter-charge here by the Roman legionaries. And on this flank, the machine gun that is 5 units of skirmishing and light cavalry are causing some quite heavy losses against the Roman right wing, and indeed one of their units of medium cavalry has been driven off the table, but can come back with a successful roll next turn. All right, that's it for turn 3. We'll move on with Aurelian's moves as we start turn 4. Okay, so that's been a really lively turn with a lot of action going on, and generally good for the Aurelian forces. So over here on their left flank, Charlie has moved his auxiliaries up, and he destroyed the Palmyran auxiliaries. It was pretty much a fair fight. Charlie had a slight advantage because you charged, didn't you, Charlie?
No, I didn't. I was losing.
Oh, it was second round of combat, and you were losing. So the Palmyrans had the advantage, but I managed to roll a 3 on my break test, and Charlie rolled well in the combat. So it was a test at -1, so the auxiliaries collapsed. Over here, this combat is a draw. They're staying in combat, and the Palmyran auxiliaries here are holding themselves up well against the Roman legionaries, but not so good in the centre. There were 2 Palmyran legionary forces here, And this front unit, which is the veteran legionaries fighting for Aurelian, crushed the first. They charged into the first of those legionary units and crushed it, and had another appalling break test and rolled a 3 or a 4, so they dissolved. And then these guys charged on and went into the second legionary unit and did the same thing again.
They got a 4 and then there was -4 and they got 0.
That's right, that wasn't good. So a huge hole in the centre as this legionary unit has crushed the Palmyran Central Division. On the left of that central position, slightly better, the Palmyran Light Cavalry have driven back the Palestinian clubmen. And over here, the Roman heavy cavalry unit that was on the table charged these Arab javelin throwing unit. They fell back, they lost the combat, they disordered their 2 cataphract units that were behind them. I should have really just evaded with them, but they were in a formed formation, not a skirmish formation. And then the Roman heavy cavalry have charged in against the cataphracti. So that does not look good for the cataphracti next turn, although they are clearly dominating this side of the battlefield. So a huge hold in the centre for the Palmyrans, the left still looking not too bad, and the right I think is also about to collapse. So it's maybe looking good for Charlie and Dan. There he is, up there. All right, let's move on with turn 4 for the Aurelian Roman forces. Okay, so in turn 4, Charlie's auxiliaries have charged in here against the Palmyran auxiliaries. He's pulled his auxiliary regiment back behind his skirmishers to allow them to recover some casualties. Down here, it looks like the end of the Palmyran centre. The medium Syrian archers have now charged the auxiliary unit in the flank that's fighting the legionaries to the front. The cavalry combat will continue. And the Romans are being aggressive, taking advantage of these 2 disordered cataphracti units in front of them. Both Roman cavalry units have charged in, and the unit that had left the table has been successfully brought back. Right, we'll do the shooting, and then we'll bring back the melee combat live. Right, given last turn's hand-to-hand combat was so dramatic, we'll do this one live. Okay, so we start. These are just regular auxiliaries. 6 dice for me, 6 dice for you, Charlie.
Will these get support?
You do have supports, yeah, I think so. So you'll get 3 attacks extra with the cavalry as a support. Yeah. For Hail Caesar, I think it says you sort of got to have the units touching. I play it that as long as they're within 3 inches, that's the support range we use for all our games. So those cavalry can give Charlie a flank support. So I'll be hitting on 4s. Charlie, with his first 6, will be hitting on 3s. So you need to roll them separately, Charlie. First 6. So you're hitting on 3s.
So 2.
Okay, and I'm hitting on 4s, and then you get your support. So 3 more dice hitting on 4s.
That was a hit.
The 3's not a hit, you just added a 3.
No, because it hits something, didn't it?
You only got 2.
4.
Yep.
4, even.
Yep. Okay, so you're saving on 6s because you've only got shields. I'm saving on 5s. I take 2 casualties.
Oh, I got so many 5s, but I got no 6s.
So you lose by 2. So that's a leadership test at -2. I go up to 3 casualties and you're on 4. 6 goes down by 2, so that goes down to a 4. Is that right? So you break if shaken, otherwise you give ground disordered. So back 1 move, so that's back 6 inches, and I'll stay in combat with you. It's probably a temporary respite for the Palmyrans, because this one looks particularly brutal. So Palmyrans will get 6 attacks for their auxiliaries, needing 4s. Charlie, you drew the combat there. You have got supports, but they'll fight in their own right. So you get... So this isn't a clash value, so you only get 6 dice this time, Charlie, for the legionaries. And you'll get 6 dice for the archers. So you get 12, and they're all... No, let's do them separately, because the archers will get a charge bonus. So 6 dice for the legionaries, needing 4s. 2. And then you get 6 dice for the archers, needing 3s. 4 more.
6.
So I've got to do 6 saves of 5. No, I haven't taken any casualties yet, Charlie. They were on 3. I take 5 more casualties.
And I'll do... Should we split the casualties up? So I do 1 and Dan does 1.
No, I think I did them on you because I'm fighting to the front.
So, saves of...
5s for legionaries. No, so you take 2. No, your casualties.
No, 'cause I already put them on before by accident. They have to.
But you haven't done any saves.
I just rolled for the saves.
You just add the saves.
And you put them on?
Yes.
Okay. And then what am I on?
You took 5. You started on 3, so you're on 8.
Yeah.
So
I took 5, you took 2, so I've got a leadership test at -2, -3. A bit better, a 7. That'll be a fallback, I believe. So yeah, because remember, it only takes my save to 5, but my save's actually 6 anyway. So the Palmyran Light Cavalry, you have 2 saves to make at 6s. They fail them both. The Clubmen have a 1 save to make at 5. No, okay, but I lose by 1, so I'm up to 3 casualties, you're up to 5. You're not shaken, but I lost. So, oh no, that's a 3. At -1 is a 2. My cavalry unit flee from the field. The centre really is all over for the Palmyrans. Okay, so we're doing the light cavalry. Dan's just rolled. He's got how many hits?
6.
6 hits out of 7. Okay, the Califracti get to fight back. They hit once or twice. I just need to check this. They are disordered, so they may be on a further -1, so they may be hitting on 5. All right, so the Cataphracti did indeed need 5s to hit because they were disordered. Sorry, I don't know why I'm rolling that. You've got 1 save, Dan, of 6 against the Cataphracti. No. Okay, and then I've got 6 saves because you caused 6 hits, but it'll be on 3s because I'm Cataphracti. I only take 1 casualty, but I will remain disordered as I'm in combat, and that is a drawn combat. I just checked that save, and it's not 3 pluses, it's actually 4 pluses. So looking at that roll, I actually only saved 2, so I took 3 casualties being charged as I was shaken and disordered, well, disordered, not shaken, from that previous rout. So I've lost this combat by 2. So, oh no, I saved.
You saved 2.
I saved 3, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I lost 3 because you caused 6 casualties, didn't you? Yeah. So I have lost it by 2. So let's see what the test is. A 7. That goes down to a 5. Okay, so now we're doing the Roman heavy cavalry. They get 9 dice on clash. Cataphracti only get 6. I'm hitting on 4s. The Romans are hitting on 3s. I'm hitting on 5s rather. So I caused 2 casualties.
And I caused 6.
6. Okay, so you get 2 saves, and I get. I will just check for the Contos in a second, so don't roll your saves yet, Dan. I've got 6 saves of 4+. I lose 3. Okay, so we realise that because these Cataphracti are armed with Contos, the very, very long spears, that the Roman cavalry would have lost its charge bonus. But we'll apply that next round. We'll keep going here. It's taken a long time since we last played these rules. So, Dan, I think you had 2 saves to make.
Yeah. 5 and a 6. So
Yeah, they both save. Oh my gosh. The Cataphracti lose. They lose by 3 because you saved them both, didn't you? So 8 goes down to 5. So I think they'll probably stay on the table, but they will have to fall back. Okay, so this is how the game ends. The Palmyran right flank has collapsed. The charge in the rear by Charlie's light cavalry. Although they didn't actually win the combat, both the legionaries and the auxiliaries on both sides had to fall back as a result of being shaken and being surrounded. The Palmyran unit was therefore wiped out. So there's only 1 unit of Palmyran archers left on this flank, and there were 4 units originally here, so that division is broken. In the centre, there are no traces of the Palmyrans left at all. On the left flank, the Palmyrans are still hanging in there. Their Cataphracti are heavily damaged. 1 indeed is shaken, but all their other light cavalry is intact. The Roman cavalry is now fairly damaged. Both have taken 5 casualties each as well, so the 2 units of heavy cavalry have pretty much battled one another to a draw. But they very much did their job. A great performance by the Roman cavalry on this flank, because they managed to prevent the Palmyran cavalry achieving superiority and helping them win the game. So, a victory for the Romans. Well done, Aurelian. Well done, Mini Aurelian. A tremendous performance. All right, I'll just do some photos and we'll call it there. Thanks a lot, and hope you enjoy the video. Remember, do subscribe and leave comments if you're enjoying it. Cheers.